This is the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. We have assembled the world's finest sports and trivia dorks to prove once and for all that we are just as bad at this as we were at sports.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, Sports Trivia. For those of us who rode the pine, I'm your host, Matt Takimoto, and episode 304 will feature the Benchwarmer team of Mason and Matt versus Benchwarmer Scott and returning guest and assistant coach for our Patreon, Byron Grubman. Byron, it's been a little bit since you've been here, but it's nice to have you back. Why don't you reintroduce yourself and who you root for?
Yeah, it's been about a year. Been busy with things here and there, but it's great to be back for both Giants, New York and San Francisco, the Rangers and the New York Rangers and the UCLA Bruins. I ref football, play hockey, and now the two have merged and I ref hockey as well. So that's how I keep myself busy.
Awesome. And Scott, how are you and what is your team name?
I'm good. I thought Byron, when he said they merged, I thought he was playing football on skates.
That is a thing. It is a thing.
Yeah. So I guess it hasn't merged to that yet. I'm good. Not much going on here other than the ordinary. We're recording this a couple days before the NFL draft. So if you're listening to this, hopefully you are happy with your team's selections. If you're Eric Eid, I know you're not. But other than that, happy to be here. Happy to have Byron as a teammate. It's been a while since he and I have teamed up. It's been many years. But excited for a taco game. Hoping there is a curriculum vitae.
And what's your team name?
So I grew up in Los Angeles. Scott now lives in Los Angeles. And so we threw it back to the Tupac days and went with to live and hopefully not die in LA.
Beautiful. Mason, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. So really exciting thing, more so for my wife because I've done it before. My wife and I are going on I'm going to call it mini vacation, I guess. It's the first time she's ever flown on an airplane. So yeah, so that's going to be fun. We're going to Chicago, nerd stuff here. We're moderating a Quiz Bowl tournament.
Whoa.
And the nice part about it is that they pay for airfare and hotel as long as you just help out with the event. So we have some extra time afterwards and we'll just go explore Chicago for a little bit. And it's like a mini vacation.
That's awesome.
Cool. So yeah,
Is it called SporkleCon?
No, it's NAQT. It's basically high school Quiz Bowl teams. So we're helping out with that. But it's a free flight and hotel in Chicago, even though I have to work for half of it. At least we get the other half to do whatever we want. So it's fun. I've done it before. She has not. But it'll be a fun little adventure for us and a little break.
Mentoring and nurturing the nerds of tomorrow. We love to see it.
What they don't tell you is it's a Super 8 in Naperville. It's not actually like a hotel in Chicago. So
Still free.
So it's a raft on Lake Michigan.
yeah, exactly.
And Mr. Doherty, how are you? And what is your team name?
Well, our team name is based off of my current state. I hurt my back, hurt my shoulder and my back. I have arthritis in my shoulder. I'm an old man.
Me too.
But so I thought that this injection that I had in my shoulder the other day was going to help solve this constant agonizing pain I've had for the last month. And shocker, it didn't. So now it's herniated discs in my back. I have to have an MRI tomorrow morning. Then I don't get to see an ortho for 2 weeks. So I have to go 2 weeks of constant pain. I take all the pills. Nothing works. So constant pain. So I am hurting. I'm injured. Not allowed to work out because I'm injured. And I said, why don't we do our typical team name, which is something and something, when Mason and I usually do this when we're not making fun of David Lux in our team name. I couldn't think of anything to make fun of Taco about, but I'm sure there's plenty. But besides the fact that my lady friend thinks that you're the handsomest of all of us. Anyway, so I said, how about injured and then yada yada, like whatever Mason's got, kind of a deal, right? Whatever he's got going on in his life. And he looked at me like, I don't know. Sure. I said, okay. Oh, we're just gonna go with injured and yada yada. Sure, why not? So we are injured and yada yada.
All right, we've got to live and hopefully not die in LA versus injured and yada yada. We're still going through some stuff here. We just had BTP therapy a couple episodes ago, and now we're injured and trying not to die. So things are bleak around here on the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. Hopefully, Benchwarmer Emeritus Dan is in a better state of mind and can give us some rules.
The game will consist of 4 quarters of play, each with different trivia style. The styles of quarters 1 through 3 will change from show to show, and I will explain them as we go along. Like any good sporting event, we will have a halftime show after the second quarter with entertainment questions. And in the fourth quarter, our teams will wager from their points accumulated to see who are today's clipboard captains, to be honored like the true benchwarmers they are. All right, let's get this game underway.
Thank you, Dan. He sounded nice and healthy. At least one of us sounds good. That gets us into the first quarter, which will be sporting haiku.
Sporting haikus. For this quarter, there will be 5 questions in haiku form. Each question is worth 20 points.
Question number 1 in sporting haiku. Ivy League point guard. His 2012 was insane. An Asian legend.
We'll check in.
Okay, to live and hopefully not die in LA has checked in, injured and yada yada. Talk it out.
Yeah, I was in middle school when this happened. I had a friend that was obsessed with Jeremy Lin, which it was fun to watch. And sorry, I'm not trying to make everybody feel old. Scott was shaking his head when I said that, so I think I made him feel old. Sorry.
Byron flipped you off too.
We'll check in with Jeremy Lin.
And to live and hopefully not die in LA, which check in with.
Yeah, I had already graduated college 6 years prior when the
Sorry.
but yeah, it's Jeremy Lin.
Both teams getting points. It is Jeremy Lin and the landmark event in Asian American history that was Linsanity. And we might be due for a resurgence in some Asian American basketball excellence with also Ivy League point guard or former Ivy League point guard Caitlin Chen getting drafted to the Golden State Valkyries. So Chen sanity might be coming to the W soon. We shall see.
And to make you feel better, Byron, I graduated college the first time in 2008. So, or sorry, 1998. Sorry, I meant to say that. Sorry. Yeah. By 2008, I already had kids. So
The time you graduated college the first time, a year before your boy Sean William Scott first appeared on screen as Stifler.
yeah.
On to question 2 in sporting haiku. Won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. Then came pro wrestling.
Checked in.
To live and hopefully not die in LA, unsurprisingly, has checked in immediately. So injured and yada yada, you may talk it out.
Is this Kurt Angle or is it Gable Steveson?
I don't know. I don't know this. I don't know this reference. Sorry.
I don't know this reference either. Won a gold medal. Did Kurt Angle win a gold medal in wrestling?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person about a wrestling question.
Yeah.
It's like a movie halftime question. You're not going to get much out of me.
Literally the other day, Taco said that with Marcus not being here, he wasn't going to have any wrestling questions, but that's a load of horse poop.
I told him to keep them.
Yeah, Scott said to keep them. So
This was the one for Scott that I kept.
I don't know that Gable Steveson had a broken neck, so, and I thought I remember Kurt Angle something. I don't even know Kurt Angle. He's the right one, right? He's the guy that always claims to be that always wore the gold medal.
I don't know.
All right, let's go with Kurt Angle.
He sounds like a nice mathematical guy to me. So,
It's always warm in the corner. You know why, right? Because it's 90 degrees.
That's right.
And that's an Angle joke for you.
He's a bit obtuse sometimes.
No, there you go.
Nice ones, Dad.
All right. And to live and hopefully not die in LA, which got.
Mason said he sounds like a nice mathematical guy. His tag team partner Joe Trapezoid. Yeah, this is Kurt Angle.
Both teams getting points. It is Kurt Angle. Yeah, won a gold medal in freestyle wrestling in '96 with a
what?
broken freaking neck.
So wait, so hold on a second now. So are we saying that wrestlers can be named, just got to be a random white guy first name and then some sort of mathematical term?
Yep.
Yes.
White guy name and a math term.
And what'd you say, trapezoid, Scott?
Joe
What was that?
Trapezoid.
Joe, there you go.
Don't forget Donald Cosine. Yeah, there's a lot.
Steve Calculus.
Harris hypotenuse.
Kurt Rhombus wants a word.
Oh,
Rhombus!
yes.
Nice!
All right,
There we go.
Can't say
Ladies
another
and
one. That's the
gentlemen.
best one. That wins.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, that was very good.
All right, I'm out.
Yep.
Good luck, Scott.
That's it. Episode over. Question 3 in sporting haiku. 88-year drought. Disco demolition night. Those shorts looked good, though.
We'll check in.
All right. To live and hopefully not die in LA has checked in, injured and yada yada. Talk it out.
Yeah, so 88-year drought must be from
17 to 05, 1970 and
17 to 05.
2005,
There you go. Yep.
because they
So
won in 05.
the Chicago White Sox.
Yep, we'll check then.
And to live and hopefully not die in LA.
Yeah, the one major league team to debase themselves enough to wear shorts in an officially sanctioned game, the Chicago White Sox.
Both teams are getting points. This is the Chicago White Sox. They wore the shorts during part of the 1976 season. Disco Demolition Night was 1979. And they were almost as bad at baseball as Dak Prescott is at football last season. Eric Eid, that was for you.
Are they going to be worse this year?
They're on pace.
It's good. Yeah, they're trying really hard. It's a challenge, but I think they're up for it. The final question of Sporting Haiku. Red Sox infielder, 17 career home runs. He's got one big pole.
We'll check in.
Okay, injured and yada yada has checked in. That means to live and hopefully not die in LA. It's yours to talk out.
I think they just beat us to the buzzer.
Yeah.
I think this is a reference to Pesky's poll.
Yeah, there's only one pole I know of in Boston, and that's definitely Pesky's.
And I think I know his first name, but I'm not going to try for it and just say Pesky.
I believe it's Johnny, but I think we can just check in with Pesky.
And injured and yada yada.
How do you, Scott, for only knowing one poll in Boston?
Is it you only know there's only one Polish person that lives in Boston? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I was implying.
That's not what I meant.
Sure. Anyway, we checked in with Pesky as well.
Both teams getting points. It is Johnny Pesky, and the reason he's got the right field pole named after him, probably apocryphal. It's not really clear that he actually hit a home run that went 302 feet and went around the pole or whatever. He was just a very light hitting infielder, and Fenway Park has a very short right field, so he got the honor. All right, after the first quarter, it's 100 to 100. Perfect score is all around.
We wanted to let you know that we are on Patreon if you'd be interested in supporting us financially. Your contributions will be used to help us cover the costs that it takes to bring you the high-quality sports trivia you have come to expect from us. There's also some great perks that come with the Patreon membership to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, including bonus episodes and Benchwarmers swag. You can find us at patreon.com/benchwarmerstp. Thanks.
All right, we're moving on to the second quarter, and the second quarter is 5-on-3.
Five on three. For this quarter, there will be 3 categorized lists containing 5 items, where each item is worth 10 points. The teams will attempt to guess as many items as they can. However, if a team has an incorrect guess, they will receive 0 points for that list.
And Josh isn't here, so we're going to break some rules. This is not going to be your normal 5-on-3. Rather than one question with 5 answers, this is going to be 5-on-3 Rhyme Time Edition. So you're going to get 5 questions with 5 rhyming answers. And you can check in as many of them as you want. Same 5-on-3 rules apply. If you don't know, don't guess, because you'll get 0. Questions 1. He is the only original 1979 SportsCenter anchor who remains with ESPN today. He's a 7-time NBA All-Star who is the first player in history to record a quadruple double and has his number retired by the Warriors and Cavaliers. The Southern Conference school from South Carolina, whose last win over an FBS school was a 2015 win over UCF. He's a 5-time All-Pro who caught a key 4th and 20 pass on the game-winning drive during Stanford's 2007 upset of USC. And he's the receiver who ranks second on virtually every career receiving metric in Detroit Lions history.
We will check in with all 17 rhyming words.
Injured and yada yada has checked in with their 26 answers. To live and hopefully not die in LA. Talk it out.
So we had Chris Berman and Furman University as 1 and 3.
That led me to Herman Moore, which I was kind of already on anyway, being second and everything. So that makes sense.
And then Nate Thurmond, you said, was the quadruple double.
He would, just based on the rhyme, he would have to be. And I know his numbers retired by the Warriors. I didn't know about the Cavs, but definitely the Warriors. And then the only one that made sense, I was racking my brain with Stanford, and it's a little cute because he was a two-way guy. and it's definitely Richard Sherman.
So yeah, we're gonna check in with Berman, Thurmond, Furman, Sherman, and Herman.
And injured and yada yada, would you check in with?
Yeah, once we figured out what the rhyme was, it kind of went from there. So we both had Miss Berman for the first one. I was thinking Herman Moore already before I even really thought about the other ones, and so I was thinking of Moore as a easier name to rhyme, but yeah, everything else worked out. So yeah, we checked in with the same 5 of Berman, Thurman, Furman, Sherman, and Herman.
And both teams are getting their full points. It is Berman, Thurman, Furman, Sherman, and Herman. Yeah, Richard Sherman was the one that's a little cute because obviously he's a DB, but he was playing wide receiver for that terribly awful 2007 Stanford team because they didn't have anybody else that could play wide receiver, and they somehow beat USC anyway, and that's very funny to me personally. Questions 2 in 5-on-3 rhyme time. The tallest man to ever be jumped over at an NBA dunk contest. A tennis legend who completed his career Golden Slam by capturing the 2010 US Open. The last name of the first trio of brothers to each log 1,000 NHL games played. The nickname of the defensive end who skipped the 1979 NFL season to amass a 6-0 record as a boxer before returning to play 10 more seasons in the NFL, and the WCW pay-per-view event held in February from 1992 to 2001. This event's name is very similar to a much larger sporting event held around the same time of year.
Oh, wait, hold on.
No, don't hold on. We're checked in.
To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA has checked in, so injured and yada yada, you may talk it up.
That was fun.
Think we have the rhyme scheme. Think. So I think the first one that got me was 4, I think, is Ed Too Tall Jones. So Too Tall. 2 would be Nadal, rhymes with that.
I like that.
And so for 5, I'm not sure about this because I don't know, but event in February would be the Super Bowl. So is it something called like the Super Bowl? Because that would rhyme. I don't know if that's an actual event. I don't feel good guessing it because I'm not sure.
And the first one, the dunk contest, I have
who was
no idea.
Tallest man to ever be jumped over.
Yao? Yao doesn't rhyme.
Ever be jumped over.
Manute Bowl?
I don't like that rhyme.
No, I don't like it.
It doesn't really rhyme.
I'm just trying to throw
I
things
won't
out
answer
there.
because I don't like
I don't like that rhyme. That's a slant rhyme. I don't think Taco would do that. With the right accent, I don't think you can get Manute Bowl to sound like too tall.
Yeah,
Unless you have
too
a really
tall,
thick accent.
Manute Bowl. Let's do with
You're
a
from the
southern
South.
accent. If you go from like you're from Georgia.
Oh man, Manute Ball.
Manute Ball.
Then Yao Ming woodwork.
Yao. Yao
Ming.
Ming.
Y'all remember that player from the 90s, New Ball?
Okay, I think we'll just go with the 2, and if we miss the 10 points, it's whatever.
Okay, sounds good.
This one's a much. So we're gonna go with Nadal and Too Tall.
And To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA. What you got?
Yeah, so very surprisingly, I got the hockey one first on this, even before the wrestling one. I figured this had to be the Stahl brothers for the hockey. So I was also on the same rhyme scheme, going off of Stahl. Then I was going through the WCW pay-per-views and I got thrown off because I thought Sold Out was February, but then I remembered that's January. And then playing off of the sporting event, the Super Bowl, it's Super Brawl for sure for that one. And that easily led us to Nadal because nothing else really fit. And then Byron and I kind of at the same time got to Too Tall for Ed Too Tall Jones. And then we're trying to think of number 1, and then it all made sense. And Mason's going to be upset about this because it's Taco Fall. So we checked in with Fall, Nadal, Stahl, Too Tall, Super Brawl.
Both teams are getting their points. Those are the answers. Nice job To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA. It is Fall, Nadal, Stahl, Too Tall, and Super Brawl.
Very close, Mason, on Super Ball. I was like, oh man, he might actually say this.
I figured with that extra hint that maybe you could reverse engineer it, and you got close. All right, the final set of questions in 5-on-3. Venezuelan second baseman who is named the 2012 NLCS MVP for the San Francisco Giants. The first foreign player to be taken second overall in the NBA draft. The sponsor of the Sacramento Kings Arena from 1988 to 2001. Montenegrin Serbian former Phoenix Sun and Golden State Warrior who now serves as director of player personnel for Fenerbahce basketball, and first baseman whose best year of his 6-year MLB career was a 21 home run campaign in 2007 with the Cleveland baseball team.
All right, we'll check in.
To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA has checked in, so Injured and Yada Yada, talk it out.
Matt's the one that kind of sparked this off because I couldn't figure out the rhyme to save my life. And luckily, Matt came in with one of them and that led there. So
Yeah, so the first one is that Marco, yeah.
Marco Scudero. And then
Scudero.
2 would be Darko. 3, that got me there to Arco Arena for the
Yeah.
Kings. 5, again, I only know this name because it's been thrown on the podcast like once or twice for some reason, is Garko. I don't know his first name, but I remember that as in the guy I mentioned, I'm almost certain he
And
was
that's
not very
for the-
good.
That's for the
5.
the people, the Cleveland baseball team
Yes.
person.
Sure. He may have played in Cleveland. I don't know. I remember that name. Someone made a joke about him. I don't remember what the joke was, but I remember that happening.
And then I was looking at my keyboard,
Oh.
just taking random letters and putting them in
And
front of
putting-
Arco.
Arco.
And I came up with Zarko. And I'm like, I thought there was a basketball player named Zarko, but neither one of us are confident enough to check that in.
So we're going to check in with Marco, Darko, Arco, and Garko.
Okay, and To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA, what'd you check in with?
We were going with Marco, Darko, Arco, and Garko as well.
Both teams are getting their 40 points. Correct answers. It is Marco as in Scudero, Darko as in Milicic, Arco as in Arena, San Francisco Giants legend Ryan Garko. And number 4 indeed was also in the 2003 draft, 17th overall to the Suns, Zarko Kabarkaba.
Say that last name 3 times real quick.
No, because the Candyman will get me. That won't-
El Chupacabra, is that what you said for the
Yeah.
last name?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Zarko Chupacabra. All right. After the second quarter, we have the following scores. We have a lead. To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA has pushed ahead slightly with 240, Injured and Yada Yada just behind with 210. That brings us to halftime.
It is now time for the halftime show. There will be 3 entertainment questions pertaining to sports, with each question worth 25 points.
So who wins one-on-one? Zarko Chupacabra or Kurt Rhombus?
Oh,
Kurt Rhombus just absolutely bodies him.
Matt, you're
the thing
from
with
all
him
4
is
sides.
I was going to
equally.
say, yeah,
yeah.
he can score from all sides.
Equally.
All right. For this halftime, we're going to keep things simple. I've dipped back into my bag of old, bad, and obscure sports movies. All I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the year, the title, and a synopsis, and you have to tell me what sport this movie is about. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple. Here we go. Question 1. From 1937, The Game That Kills. Tom Ferguson, star player for the Indians, is killed during a game in an quote-unquote accident with Dick Adams and Bill Drake, 2 of his own teammates. His brother, Alec Ferguson, is not convinced it was an accident and goes to New York to uncover the truth. He learns that the team, a member of a nationwide professional league, has been throwing games on the orders of a gambling ring. What sport is this movie about?
We'll check in.
Injured and Yada Yada has checked in. To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA. Talk it out.
I went to hockey first just because that's the sport where people can get killed in quote unquote accidents that involve teams. I mean, boxing, you can get killed one-on-one, but not with a team.
I'm fine with hockey, though. I don't want to overthink it.
Yep.
Let's do it.
And Injured and Yada Yada, what'd you check in with?
For me, it was the team name and the gambling ring idea, especially since, Black Sox wouldn't have been that far before this. So we
Mhm.
both thought it was baseball.
Okay, one team is getting points. This is a hockey movie.
Ooh.
Oh, nice pull, Byron.
All right, moving on to bad, old, and or obscure sports movie number 2. From 1995, The Man with the Perfect Swing. Indebted, middle-aged former pro athlete Anthony Babe Lombardo needs to find a way to get the IRS off his case. When he discovers a unique sporting talent, this gives him a few ideas on how to cash in, mostly bad ideas.
We will check in.
To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA has checked in injured and yada yada. Talk it out.
I'm pretty sure this was golf.
Okay, I was thinking baseball because of the name Babe, swing.
Yeah,
mean,
but I think you would need more than just a unique sporting talent to become a baseball player of some type, you know.
He
I
has a
think
perfect swing. What are you talking about? If a baseball player had a perfect swing,
Yeah,
Well,
I
no,
know.
well,
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr. We saw that. We've seen that.
yeah,
Mm.
so he had. I
Yeah.
don't
He
know.
also had four other tools, Mason.
It just kind of reminds me of the Happy Gilmore and like IR kind of just except for with IRS, you know, he's trying to get money for his mom's grandparents' house.
So you're
and
saying
everything.
Happy Gilmore plagiarized this movie?
Oh, I'm thinking
Is that
things the
right?
other way around, probably. Because this was 1995. Oh, Happy Gilmore
Happy
was
Gilmore was
what? He was like, that was
Happy
like
right
in
Gilmore was
around
like
then.
90. I
1999.
think it's 90. I think it's 96.
It might
Oh,
even be like
we
those,
haven't
because
covered something
95
here.
is about when they started doing the long drive, like those guys, you know what I mean? The longest drive competition stuff. So maybe that's what it is. So, but golf.
If you think it's golf, that's fine.
We're gonna say golf.
And To Live and Hopefully Not Die. What you got?
My comment to Scott was this sounds like Dime Store Happy Gilmore. So we went with golf as well.
Both teams getting points. This is a golf movie, and yeah, it does sound like very similar in scope to Happy Gilmore, and yeah, it did actually come out first, but nobody saw it, so nobody noticed that Happy Gilmore had a similar premise.
It's not plagiarizing if no one sees it.
If no one sees it, it's not plagiarizing. Exactly. All right, final question of halftime. From 1972, Kansas City Bomber. Casey Carr has just left her former team in Kansas City to start her new life as a single mother with a team called the Portland Loggers. Loggers owner Bert Henry has a ruthless side, trading away Casey's roommate and best friend and turning the crowd against Loggers star horrible Hank Hopkins when he sees Hopkins is interested in Casey. The climax of the film is a race between Casey and her teammate/rival, Jackie.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and check in.
Okay, Injured and Yada Yada has checked in, so To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA. Talk it out.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that this is co-ed to have Casey and to have Bert Henry. Oh no, to have Hank,
Horrible Hank Hopkins.
right, and also Jackie. So
I'm trying to think of a sport that fits it better than roller derby, but like wrestling, there's no teams. You'd think these are character names.
what
but
about could this be like Crew?
but in Kansas City?
No, in Portland.
But I'm saying like she left her former team in Kansas
Yeah,
City. I
I'm just
can't
saying,
imagine Crew is.
I'm going off of loggers, like an actual like in a log.
Oh yeah.
Like-
They carved it themselves before.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll leave it to you if you've got anything better. I can't get off roller derby.
Sure, let's go for it.
And Injured and Yada Yada. What you got?
Yep, we did the same thing. Roller derby.
Both teams getting their points. This is a roller derby movie. More specifically, this is a movie about roller games, which was a more theatrical, entertainment-driven sports league to rival roller derby in the 70s, apparently. But yeah, it's a roller derby movie. And the star, Casey Carr, was Raquel Welch.
Wow.
Maybe
Wait,
you'll
so
watch
it was
that.
like it wasn't like real, kind of like, you know, it's real to me, damn it.
It's the pro wrestling of
Yeah.
roller derby.
Roller games kind of does sound like the pro wrestling of roller derby. After halftime, we have the following scores. To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA has 315, Injured and Yada Yada close behind with 260. We now move to the third quarter, and the third quarter will be David versus Goliath.
David versus Goliath. This quarter will consist of 5 pairs of questions, one easier, David, and one harder, Goliath. After hearing both questions, each team will pick one of the 2 questions to answer, either David or Goliath. Each David question is worth 20 points, and each Goliath question is worth 50 points.
And for this David versus Goliath, each David versus Goliath will be one question with 2 answers. For David points, give me either. For Goliath points, give me both. Question number 1. There are 2 WNBA players who have won MVPs with multiple teams. David, name either. Goliath, name both.
We're gonna check
Should've
in,
been.
Taco.
To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA has checked in, Injured and Yada Yada. Talk it out.
I think Matt. I think you got the other one because
That's just a
Yeah,
name that
'cause
I know that's won a few or won a couple.
mhm,
So I don't know if
she
she
moved
did.
teams.
Okay.
Yeah, she's now with the Liberty,
Okay.
and I forgot where she was before. But yeah,
Well, I
so
think I.
Brianna Stewart's
Okay.
one, and the one I came up with, which I'm guessing this is probably the harder one. I don't know why this is the first one. I was like, I know what she looks like, I know where she is from, and all of that. I'm pretty sure Elena Deladon has won multiple ones. That's an older one. We're talking about like mid to late 2010s. We're gonna go with Elena Deladon and Brianna Stewart.
Okay. And to live and hopefully not die in LA, what you got?
Yeah, Brown Stewart popped in my head, but I wasn't positive that she won with the Liberty yet. So I didn't factor her in. We had two names written down. It was Tarazi and Deladon. Um, and I was pretty confident that Deladon had, but wasn't sure. And Tarasi obviously played for two teams and seemed like the more likely candidate to win MVP with multiple teams. So we checked in for David with Diana Taurasi.
Well, one team is getting points. The two answers were Elena Deladon did it first in 2015 with the Chicago Sky and then 2019 with the Washington Mystics. And then the other answer was Brianna Stewart, who won it in 2018 with the Seattle Storm and 2023 with the Liberty. So that is Goliath points for injured and yada yada, and no points for to live and hopefully die in LA. And I'll do it now because it got dramatic. We now have a 5-point deficit. Moving on to question 2 in David and Goliath. The Ravens Commanders matchup in 2024 was the third game in NFL history in which the starting quarterbacks were the reigning NFL MVP and the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. The first time this happened was before I was born, and both quarterbacks were alums of the same school. The second time this happened was in the last 10 years, and both quarterbacks are still the starting quarterbacks for those same teams. David, name one of the two pairs of quarterbacks. Goliath, name both.
Can you get a pegboard with the yellow or the red yarn on this one? Because I'm completely lost.
Okay.
I'm gonna read this over again.
We're checked.
All right. All right. To live and hopefully not die in LA has checked in injured and yada yada. Talk it out.
All right, so we're kind of keying in on like the early 90s sometime, assuming that Taco was born like around 98 or 97-ish or something like that.
That's
I have no
that's
idea.
close to how old I am. No,
What?
he's got
That's
the
Oh,
same
very
age as
kind of
me.
you. I
I thought
appreciate
Taco
that.
was in his
No.
late 20s, isn't he? How old are you, Taco?
Yeah, yeah, we'll call it late 20s. Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
sounds great.
I think he's definitely a few years older than me. I'm not saying significantly older.
Well,
but
yeah,
a
that
few
would
years
be the late 20s. You're 22?
older. That's
Mason, how old are you?
I'm 26.
You're
What am I
26?
saying?
Oh,
Everything
geez.
gets stretched.
Again,
The
my
young
Matt,
people
I've
get
been on this
younger, the old
podcast
people
for
get older.
almost 5 years here.
I'm way
I was in
again,
college when
almost
these-
yes. Okay.
Mason's
I was in
always
college.
22. Matt's
Okay.
always 88.
This is our fourth year only, Mason.
So 1995 would mean would be 30 years. So let's say Taco
I think he's
is
close to that. Maybe a
so
little bit
let's say
older
he's
than
like
30.
32
Early
or 33.
30s.
So we're talking early 90s, late
Late-
80s.
Right. At the very minimum. Now this could go back to 70s or 60s. It's before he was born.
Yeah. So we're
So-
just guessing on the second one, but you got the first one. You go for that one.
Well, I mean, we get a free guess, so we can throw something out there. But I'm pretty sure the first one lines up. Lamar Jackson won in 2019. Joe Burrow was drafted in 2020. They're division rivals, so they would have had to play each other twice. I know Burrow got hurt, but I think they still would have played each other. Because it was not a very good year for them anyway. But I think the first one's Lamar and Burrow.
The one that I threw out because we were just kind of going through all the different people that won in the early 90s and late 80s, like Emmitt Smith, Thurman Thomas, not quarterbacks, obviously. So I threw out Steve Young. Steve Young won with the 49ers after Montana left, but then Montana won with the Chiefs in the late 80s, early 90s also. John Elway won in there too, Stanford. I can't
had
think
Boomer
of anybody.
Esiason, but I don't know where he went to school.
Esiason, yeah. I did say that Steve Young won one in there sometime, and
Right.
Ty Detmer, who also
Won
went
a
to
Heisman.
BYU, won a Heisman.
I don't know if they
that
line
the
up.
years, and I don't know that they played each other even when Ty Detmer was starting. So
Yeah.
so there was that year that the Packers had Favre, Detmer, uh, what's his name, went on to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars,
Mark
and then
Brunell.
Brunell and Warner. But I think that was like 90. It was 90. But even then, Ty Detmer wouldn't have been playing with the. He didn't start in the NFL till like 97-ish. So I don't think
The
that would have been
timeline's
it.
kind of close. I don't mind guessing it as a second one because I don't know.
Yeah.
But Detmer won in the early 90s. Steve Young may have won around the same time in the early
Yeah.
90s. So maybe
And we're
it's
still
worth a
not sure when
guess.
Taco was born. So
Yeah.
We're gonna need an answer here.
Okay. So we're going to go with Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow as the first pair that we're pretty confident in. And the second one, we're going to go Steve Young and Ty Detmer.
Okay. And to live and hopefully not die in LA, which check in with?
Yeah, we got to Burrow and Jackson pretty quick, being division rivals and MVPs and Heisman's lining up. And we took a very similar approach. We just tried to see who the big quarterbacks were coming out of college in the, we'll say late 70s through the 90s. And I threw out BYU, knowing that they at least had one Heisman with Ty Detmer. And so we just paired him up with Steve Young, and that's what our second guess is.
All right. Well, both teams are going to get their David points.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow did play on October 11th, 2020. This was a 27-3 Ravens win. The Ravens and Bengals did play again week 17, but Joe Burrow did not play. Brandon Allen started for the Bengals in that game, but they did play once, so that's enough. The first one, you have to go back a little bit further than that. And you know what? I'm really getting a lot of love on this podcast because I was born in 1987.
Oh wow.
That's where I had it. Because I said to Byron, I said we need to go around like 80s, mid 80s.
Yeah, I am a
Wait.
full peak millennial here.
He's
Full
older than
peak
me, Matt.
millennial, almost to 40 millennial here.
Wait, hold on a
you have-
second. Did you say we're both getting our
David
David?
points.
Oh, I thought you said Goliath. That's why I was
We
all
were
cheering. I
well,
was
Ty
okay. I
Detmer
was
won
off.
after he was born, so that's where.
Yeah. But the other answer, you have to go all the way back to 1971. The college was Stanford, and the two quarterbacks were Jim Plunkett and John Brody.
I typed Jim Plunkett.
We
to
had
Byron,
Plunkett,
but
and we just couldn't line him up with anybody else.
Yep.
We
Yeah,
didn't go
John Brody
far enough
won the
back.
1970 MVP with the Niners, and Plunkett won the 1970. Heisman was drafted by the Patriots, and they played on Halloween in 1971. A 27-10 win for the Niners. Also throwing a pass in that game, another Heisman winner, Steve Spurrier, was John Brody's backup on that 1971 Niners team. All right, the final question of David and Goliath. 2017, this is where we're at with the current state of baseball. 2017 marked the most recent year where any MLB pitcher had 3 or more complete game shutouts in the same season.
Yeah.
This was accomplished by 2 American League pitchers. One of these pitchers won the 2017 AL Cy Young. The other finished 7th in the AL Cy Young voting, but did make his second and final All-Star game, with his other All-Star game appearance coming back in 2008, also for an American League team, but a different American League team. For David points, name either. For Goliath points, name both.
Yeah.
We'll check it.
Injured and yada yada has checked in, so to live and hopefully not die in LA, talk it out.
This has broken my brain.
Yeah, we took way too long just to settle on a David.
Which we're not even 100% on. So yeah,
I think he won a Cy Young somewhere in this time frame.
I know Corey Kluber won 2, and it was like a 2 or 3 year difference in when he won them. It's somewhere between like 14 and 18 that they're in there. So again, just hedging our bets, playing probabilities, he makes a good guess for David because at least he has 2 awards.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a workhorse, so having 3 complete games, like, that's fine. The second one, for like the 2008 thing, I was just thinking of Oakland because they just were such a pitching factory in the 2000s. But then it's someone that's in the league 9 years later with a different team and makes an all-star team. So I couldn't think of anyone. We're on Rick Porcello just because he has a Cy Young. The first thing about him for the Cy Young one, but I don't think his Cy Young was then. He could work for the second part.
Yeah, because I don't think he made many all-star teams
He definitely
outside
did
of his
not.
flash in the pan years, and they were
Yeah.
towards either end of his career, but I can't
Yeah.
remember if he started before 2008.
But I also kind of like James Shields because he would have been the ace of that staff in Tampa right before David Price sort of took that role. And then he's on those Royals World Series teams.
Oh, I remember
then-
well.
Let's go
So-
Kluber and Shields.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're gonna check in Corey Kluber and James Shields.
And injured and yada yada. What you got?
So yeah, we were kind of going through it. We had a few names around. We finally got to Corey Kluber, but our second one we went with Rick Porcello.
Well, both teams receiving their David points for Corey Kluber. Scott, you were spot on. He won his Cy Youngs in 2014 and 2017. The other one, again, I feel like, Scott, this is going to be a guy that for some reason you just have a vibes affinity for. The other one is Irvin Santana.
No hitter,
That's-
Irvin.
That's not
And-
surprising. Okay.
Angels in 2008 and then Minnesota in 2017.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt. Matt threw that name out there to me.
He had a good year in 2017, 16 and 8. All right. Well, after the third quarter, we have some drama because To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA has 365 and Injured and Yada Yada has 360. So a 5-point game headed into the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter, known as Put Your Fours Up. This quarter consists of 5 categorized questions that teams will wager up to 100 points each, not to exceed their current point total.
And for this fourth quarter, our categories will be track and field, basketball, tennis, and sports siblings. It is now time for the teams to place their wagers.
We'd like to take a minute to invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at BenchwarmersTP. We also have a Facebook group for fans of the pod called The Bench. Join us there to comment on the latest episodes and share cool sports facts and trivia. If you'd be willing to rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher, we'd greatly appreciate the support so that other people may find this podcast. Thanks.
Now that the wagers are in, on to the questions. Question number 1 in the fourth quarter category is track and field. He won a silver medal in the 200 meters at the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, finishing behind only Jesse Owens, is a member of the University of Oregon Hall of Fame, and has the stadium at Pasadena City College named for him, but he is by far the second most famous athlete in his family. Name him, given first name or common nickname required.
Man, it's been a while since I've gone to Pasadena City College to check out the name of their stadium.
Taco, we're gonna check in.
Okay, Injured and Yada Yada has checked in To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA. Talk it out.
Thank you. If you're a fan of mine, my one fan, shout out to Andy Barry. Andy, we'll get you back on the show soon. And you like to hear me rant ridiculously, strap in. If you're not, fast forward. Okay. We think this is Jackie Robinson's brother. I think this is almost certainly Jackie Robinson's brother. Or I guess it could be Jackie Robinson's half brother, but I'm pretty sure it's his brother. I know he comes from a very athletic family. Pasadena makes sense for the family. The time frame makes sense. I think it definitely is. The problem is I don't remember his first name. And it sounds like you don't either.
Based on my suggestion, no, I absolutely do
Yes.
not know his first name.
Okay, good. We're not going to say Blackie Robinson.
Oh no!
Hey, I'm the only one of us that can actually say that. So I just wanted to get that out of the way.
And to be clear, I did not put that into the chat either.
Yeah, Matt, just know that Blackie don't cracky. Okay, anyways. So it's really just thinking of a name. For some reason, Floyd popped into my head. Floyd Robinson just sounds like it'd be a person of substance. It sounds like it would be a stadium. Come to Floyd Robinson Stadium tonight. So we could go Floyd. Then I thought maybe it's Lloyd and it's not Floyd, but maybe I'm just thinking about Dumb and Dumber. I'm thinking of a name where you could also have a nickname that people would know. So for some reason, Errol came into my head. Errol Robinson also sounds like a stadium name. Errol Robinson Stadium. And then I thought, what if his nickname was Airborne? ERR Born. Airborne. Errol Airborne Robinson. Check it in for 80 points.
And injured and yada yada, what did you check in with?
Okay, so just the other day I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about the veterans who are being kind of removed from that DEI type stuff from websites on the US government, and they talked about Jackie Robinson, and then they talked about his brother then too, and then that spurred this thing because there was a conversation about the 36 Olympics that I've heard a lot um in a different podcast, right? Where they talked about his brother competing in the 200. And so, yeah, it is Jackie Robinson's brother. I know both his first name and his nickname. His nickname is Mac, and his first name is Matt. So it's Mac Robinson. I'm just going to go with Mac, though. So for 30 points.
One team is getting points. This is Matthew Mac Robinson. Very nicely done. Both teams had it. The LA boys did not have the first name, unfortunately.
I think Errol sounds better, personally.
By the way, if
Errol
you're not listening
Floyd
to
Lloyd, yeah.
what's his name that does the 10,000 hours, or what's the author's name?
Malcolm
Gladwell.
Gladwell.
Malcolm Gladwell has an amazing podcast, and he had a whole series just about how the 1936 Olympics went, or how it kind of came about, and the whole thing was super interesting. So, like,
Is it better than this podcast?
6 or 8 podcasts. It's better than this podcast when I'm on it, that's for sure.
We should have been counting how many podcasts Matt's mentioned that are better than this podcast.
Definitely Hit Parade, right, Matt?
I think
Hit Parade is amazing.
Ding, ding, ding,
Right.
every time there's a new one mentioned.
That's right. All right. After that question, our scores are 390 for injured and yada yada, and 285 for to live and hopefully not die in LA. Still 3 questions to go, starting with this one. Question number 2, category is basketball. He was a first-round pick who played for 4 NBA teams, all Eastern Conference, between 1997 and 2012. Is an honorary entry in Jewish Sports Quarterly after leading Maccabi Tel Aviv to 2 EuroLeague titles in 2004 and 2005. And he's the current general manager of the Orlando Magic. But he is by far the second most famous basketball player in his family. Name him. First name required.
Check it in.
Yeah, we'll check in.
All right. To live and hopefully not die in LA is checked in. Injured and yada yada. Talk it out.
Okay, so 1997 first round pick in the Eastern Conference has a family member that's more famous. So is this a father? Is this sibling? I mean, based on the theme, maybe it's a sibling. The first one is. So someone's much more famous sibling. So it's the younger brother, older brother of someone else more notable. 97 would have been the Tim Duncan draft. I don't know the Orlando Magic GM. That's not going to help.
No,
I don't
either.
EuroLeague title is not going to help me either.
This is in my time frame that I should know. 97. I mean, I don't know the draft.
That's the only way I can get there because
I'm
I'm
obviously by
sibling.
default, because if it's he has a more famous basketball player, sibling or family member, then this person is almost certainly, like you said, a role player for a long time.
Has someone else in basketball was more famous. So that's why I'm thinking, well, I'm still sibling. So
Was there any foreign players in the 97? I mean, aside from Duncan being from the Virgin Islands.
I imagine there probably was. I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I don't have anything. I don't have anything I'm surprised that we got the track and field question and we have no idea for basketball. Like, just nothing.
We are totally lost in basketball.
We should have switched our wagers. I didn't think track and field would go well. It
I
did.
know,
I thought
right?
basketball would go
who would
well.
have
It's
known that I
not.
would have nailed that one?
Guess the last name of somebody that would have been big, either early 90s or early 2000s. I just don't have a. Is this This is obviously Michael Olowokandie's brother.
There you go. Yep.
And I don't know his name. First name required. So let's come up with a name.
Errol. Yeah.
Errol Olowokandi.
Yeah.
We'll go with that because it's better than anything else we have. So yeah, we're gonna go with that and take our 100-point loss and move on.
All right, I'll give you Errol and Floyd Olowokandi. I'll give you either
Awesome,
of those.
2-for-1 special. That's the two brothers.
Yep.
Floyd's more famous.
Yes. And to live and hopefully not die in LA, what'd you check in with?
Before I let Byron, I can't believe he pulled this so quickly. 2000s, it's #1 pick. It is a star player and a known name with one slight exception. Go ahead, Byron.
Yeah, so this was very much a breadcrumbs type of question. Obviously, being Jewish, my antenna went up when I saw Jewish Sports Quarterly. So I went through the usual names: Jordan Farmar, Omri Caspi. Then I got to the second most famous, basketball player, and I had heard, gosh, it had to have been more than 10 years ago, that this player's older brother, not Jewish, which is why he's the honorary entry into Jewish Sports Quarterly, but did lead Maccabi Tel Aviv. The more famous sibling, not brother, is still on TV doing NBA. I think still NBA or just WNBA, but I think NBA coverage on ESPN. That's Candace Parker. And I'm pretty sure her brother is Anthony Parker. That's who he went with.
For how many points?
For 100.
One team is getting their points. This is Anthony Parker, brother of Candace Parker. Very nicely pulled, Byron.
Good job on
Yeah,
that.
that was as soon as he said it too, I was like, absolutely, because he played for the Magic, so it makes sense that he would be a GM for them.
Yeah, I'm just glad that Lux wasn't on the other side because, we go to the meetings and we know all the, we stay current on the updates.
Right. All right. Well, our lead has shifted back yet again to live and hopefully not die in LA. Retakes the lead, 385, injured and yada yada, now at 290, but still a lot to play for. Question 3 in the fourth quarter category is tennis. He's the last Frenchman to win the French Open men's singles title, defeating Mats Wilander to win in 1983. He captained the French Davis Cup team to 3 wins, 1991, 1996, and 2017, and was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame in 2005. But he is, to American sports fans anyway, the second most famous athlete in his family. Name him. First name required.
Okay, we'll check in.
Okay, injured and yada yada has checked in. So to live and hopefully not die in LA, talk it out.
Think you're onto something, right?
Yeah.
So you think that the sibling is Mary?
I think that would be the more famous of the two, because I know she's French and American dual citizen, but she played tennis for France in the Davis Cup.
Okay. Then we just need her brother's first name. It's not Paul, right? Paul Pierce?
I think that's the younger brother.
Okay. Makes sense. The truth. Okay. It's not Franklin Pierce. That's a president.
Correct.
That was for Mason. I just wanted
Famed tennis player, Franklin Pierce.
is it's not any derivation of Franklin. It's Francis Pierce.
Frankie.
I'm between John and David. I know it's a common
Oh
name.
my god, these common ass names. Do something cool like Errol. Errol Pierce. Come on. Actually, that sounds like an NXT wrestler, Taco.
It sounds
Errol
like pierced
Pierce?
arrow.
Yeah.
But backwards. Instead of pierced arrow.
Sounds like a dandy wrestler.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. I mean, I don't know. David Hyde Pierce is a person. Maybe that's why I'm leaning towards David and I shouldn't be.
I think that's it.
I think it's David Hyde Pierce from Frasier.
No, well, not Hyde.
I was
but-
gonna say he's currently on the Pirates of Penzance on Broadway, so he's the perfect model of the modern Major General.
He's working hard.
I just scribble that down for my next theater trivia.
All right, so Dave, you want to go, David?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, it
that's
sounds
it.
better. John Pierce sounds like someone that owns slaves. I can't get behind that.
Yes,
Wow.
the French notably
Jeez.
not racist.
Okay.
But
Came
yeah,
out of nowhere.
let's check in with David Pierce.
For how many points?
80.
And injured and yada yada. What'd you check in with?
We went in a different direction here. I, for some reason, remember this fact about he's the last Frenchman to win the French Open. And it made sense because his son would be more famous here. I don't think this is a sibling one. I think this is someone.
Yannick Noah.
I think this is Yannick Noah. So that's what we checked in with for 30 points.
One team is getting their points. This is the most famous person to share a cigarette with, I think it was Tim Geving in St. Louis outside the Sweet 16. This is Yannick Noah, father of Joakim Noah. Very nicely played. I wanted Team LA. I wanted you so bad to go with Paul Pierce, so I could just tell you that his nickname, if it was French Paul Pierce, would be Le Verité. Well, going into the final question, here are our scores. Injured and yada yada takes back the lead at 320. To live and hopefully not die in LA is at 305. So it all comes down to the final question in sports: siblings.
We just want to say that, Mason, we are terrible at wagering. Just as
Yeah,
an
the
FYI.
two
I mean,
questions we weren't sure about, we've gotten right. The one we felt really good about, we weren't
yeah,
even close.
we
So
nailed
this,
both.
this
one
one's
and
going to be
three.
terrible then. This one's going to be terrible. I already know it. It's going to be awful. We're not going to, it's going to be this family of 12 siblings that we've never heard of. It's the Von Trapp family, but in
Name
sports.
the 13th
and-
of the 18 siblings.
Name every kid that Antonio Cromartie has.
God.
Oh boy.
How long do we have?
Sean Camp plus
Yeah,
Antonio
exactly.
Cromartie.
Yeah, plus Philip Rivers.
Errol. There's got to be an Errol in there. Errol Cromartie. That has to.
Tiebreaker would
That
be
has
Philip
to
Rivers'
exist.
kids.
Yeah.
That'll be the tiebreaker.
Oh wow. All right, here we go. Sports siblings. Reliever Randy Moffat's MLB career lasted 12 seasons with the Giants from 1972 to 1981, then one season each with the Astros and Blue Jays. He amassed a record of 43 and 52 with a 3.65 ERA and 455 career strikeouts. He is by far the second most famous athlete in his family. Name Randy's more famous older sibling, who shared SI Sports Person of the Year honors with John Wooden during Randy's rookie season, and was named one of Time Magazine's People of the Year 3 years later.
We'll check in.
Okay, Injured and Yada Yada has checked in, so for the final time, to live and hopefully not die in LA, talk it out.
We're in the 60s.
Well, no, we must be in 72, right? Because he said Randy's rookie season.
Hmm.
So it says he played from 72 to 81. So I would assume 72 is when Wooden and this person shared Sports Person of the Year. So if we're thinking 1972, what other big notable options would we have for that?
So here's my thought for combination Sports Person of the Year and People's or Time Magazine's People of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was any it's not like the Gerald Ford football to presidency in 3
Right.
years.
Well, it's 72. I'm thinking, is it an Olympian?
No, I think this was the Battle of the Sexes era.
Oh, yeah. Oh, do you think
think-
it's Billie Jean King?
I think it's Billie Jean King.
That makes sense. She's not my lover.
Is this the girl
Um,
that thinks you're the one?
Yeah.
I mean,
The
Yeah, that
the
makes
accolades
sense.
lineup.
Yeah, it does.
we're not saying she's not your lover because of. I mean, it's probably her choice. I'm just saying.
It is her choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
The kid is not my
man.
son.
Come on.
Yeah, I like that a lot, Byron. That makes a lot of sense. 72
And
for
I'm
like
not
the
coming up with
accolades.
anything better than that
72
to
for the
cross over those
accolades and
two.
70, and then a few years 75 for the that does make a lot of sense.
Title IX and all that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. We'll go with Billie Jean King for 100 points.
And injured and yada yada, what did you check in with?
Yeah, I had this in the middle of him reading it because for some reason I know this connection. I don't know why. And Moffat just triggered something in my head that I remember that this person's maiden name is Moffat. I don't know why I know that, but it just that worked and the time frame worked. So we also checked in with Billie Jean King, 400 points.
Both teams are getting their points. This is Billie Jean, well, born Billie Jean Moffat, turned Billie Jean King when she married Larry King. Not that Larry King, another Larry King. And yeah, won the first woman to win Sports Person of the Year. Had to share it with John Wooden because, that's how equality works, apparently. You can't win something on your own first. And then was named One Time Magazine People in the Year following the Battle of the Sexes with Bobby Riggs. Very nicely sussed out by both teams to finish things off. Our game has come to an end. Here are our scores. To Live and Hopefully Not Die in LA finishes with a very respectable 405 points. But our clipboard captains receiving the coveted Steve Spurrier Award with Blaze It, 420 points. Injured and yada yada. Byron, thanks so much for coming on. Is there any parting words you'd like to leave us with for this episode?
No, just happy to be back. Glad to be invited back by Matt. And
I
as
invited you, but you're welcome.
or whoever, I just figured Matt owned or controlled the
Scott has
whatever,
booked
the
every
email
single guest
address.
and no
Yeah,
one
Scott
else
books
has
the
helped
guests.
ever.
I just send the invites out for them.
Thank you, Scott, for inviting me back. I appreciate it. I was flattered to see the email. And I'll end this, I'll part with the same words that I say every time. Every state and every sport needs officials. If you've ever thought about doing it, go out and officiate a sport. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice side hustle, and the kids will be eternally grateful. So that's my PSA. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. And especially with youth sports, don't yell at your refs. It's not that important. Thank you, Byron, for being here. Matt, Scott, Mason, anything else before we get out of here?
825 is the total. So basically, whenever I'm playing, just ride that under constantly.
Yeah, if you
Just
bet
keep on going with
the
that
under,
under.
it was a good night to bet the
Yes.
under, and
It was.
also betting the
covered.
under on number of
Yeah.
swears. That was
and I believe
that was a big
five
under
was
with
the-
Byron on the episode. So
5
Wait,
was
best behavior.
the, five was the
you want
point
me to hit
spread,
the
so
over?
we
I can hit the
covered
over if you want.
15. So yeah.
Very nice. Well, for all of us here at the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, I have been Taco. Thank you for listening, and until next time, we will keep the bench warm.
Love you, Kurt Rambis, Joe Trapezoid,
Rhombus.
any other
Kurt
shapes?
Rhombus.
Rhombus, yeah. No, okay. All right.
Aerial parallelogram or an
Kurt's cousin is
parallelogram.
Kurt
An
Rectangle.
parallelogram.
Is that like-
Too late for his episode title.
I already wrote Kurt Rhombus in. It was too good.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
gotta be.
All right.
That ball hit high and deep. Stretch. Get on back there. They look up. You can put it on the board. Yes.
Into deep left center for Mitchell. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
That great music you're listening to is by Justin Nozick. Thanks to him for producing that music for us. You've been listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. Make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We are at Benchwarmers TP.